latest intellectual export, permaculture is permanent agriculture for permanent culture. And if you become a permaculture designer, one part of your job will be creating little self-contained ecosystems where the plants and animals take care of each other so you don't have to. Another part, social permaculture, which will be my next talk. Tonight I'm going to talk about how a self-watering balcony garden evolved itself into being on my little balcony in the middle of Melbourne, a few minutes walk from the centre of Melbourne where I have my share house. Now, if a balcony garden can water itself, that means we can change the world. All these hungry, people living in apartments in all the cities of the world can grow a little bit of nourishment for themselves and feel a bit stronger. Here's my first version of the super low tech with a fish in it. Fish power is a kind of social permaculture. The way it gets the balcony protected and watered is people will put off watering a plant, but they won't put off going and feeding a fish. So up they go every day, and while they're feeding the fish, they remember to water the plant. This one is a 2,000-year-old system that I put in next when I thought, I want to go on a 2-week holiday. In Arabia 2,000 years ago, they didn't just throw the water that they carried onto the ground to water their food. No. They'd bury a big Aladdin's pot. They'd fill it with water, and the roots of the plants would swoop the water out when it was dry, and they wouldn't when it was wet. So your plant wouldn't go all soggy and die. Here's the system as I'm putting these little unglazed terracotta pots, burying them in the soil so that they're always full of water. And this works, no electricity, no timer, just osmosis and gravity. Now that big black container wasn't very beautiful, and beauty is another source of power in a permaculture system. Well, it is if you work with volunteers. And at my house, there's always like this steady stream of people that'd stay for free on my couch. They'd be couch surfers or woofers, so I had to make things kind of beautiful for them. Here is Sayaka, and she's turning my old black recycling crate into a nice berry box that will be growing berries on my balcony. And she just found me in the WWOOF book, Willing Workers on Organic Farms. It's a great way to travel around the world. It's like couch surfing. And here she is turning my balcony garden into something that's going to look after itself. Hey, the tank has appeared. 220-litre tank on the wall, catching all the water from my roof when it rains. This would change so many lives of orphans or people who have no money, no electricity, and still want to eat, which is a lot of the people in the world. So I'm pretty proud that this kind of appeared in my balcony without me really doing anything, because about 20 different guests, they turn up and I give them some crepes and say, hey, could you nail this to my wall? And that was a bit blokey, so I said, do you think we could hide it with, say, this door's just hanging around, I hardly ever open it. And so someone put the door up, and someone else, I said, hey, could you paint it? And someone even got one of my illustrations and cut it out, because the pictures are mine, and they stuck it on there, so it's sort of like a door to another world. Mark from Montreal. You get to meet the coolest people if you just decide to do one little cool thing that the world needs, like create self-sustaining gardens. This man, he just raises the level of what humans can do. He he's an animator and he's an artist, and he went back to Montreal and he photographed his whole village one by one, and he's becoming a marine biologist because life's short. He cured himself from cancer when he was 25 and met this lovely girl, and he cured himself of a peanut allergy. I know, every day he takes two peanuts just to be sure. In my self-watering garden, well, there's an idea in permaculture that you want your water to flow as long and slow in the landscape as it can before it leaves, to do as much work as it can. So 220 litres wasn't really enough. The overflow goes into my squeezy bucket pond, which I adjusted so that it doesn't overflow, because you don't want your fish going walkies, like if it rains a lot. When the level of the pond reaches here, the water's connected so that it automatically goes down. Water is your friend if you just listen to it and ask it what it wants to do. it doesn't just go down, it goes in all kinds of directions. Water actually goes up if you persuade it the right way. As anyone who's ever heard of someone emptying a swimming pool into their enemy's attic with a siphon will tell you. So here's, when you're doing something new, you make mistakes. I forgot to put a mesh and my fishies went walking. They went into my downpipe. And the next day, one little fishy came back. Yeah. I went searching downstairs, no fish. So it's a mystery and it's a sacrifice to evolution of permaculture. Here is another wonderful woofer. I put an ad in the paper, wanted people to help with my housework. And I got an endless supply of people helping with my housework. Because humans love effort and they love learning and connecting. And when you came and helped with my housework, you'd learn to do ikebana. This lady, she studied cloth things. So I got her to do cloth work. The key to getting volunteers to help you with your beautiful projects is find out what their dream is and help them achieve it. So her and I just had so much fun making like the curtains for the balcony garden. So this house I only lived in a few months of the year and I'd be off in Japan and travelling and things. So really it was everybody's house. So people didn't feel, why am I working for free for Cecilia? Because everyone lived here. And here's the result. It's a delicious balcony garden that I would spend about 4 hours a day in studying my Japanese and watering itself. And that's the end of the story.